Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Infopedia. Today's subject will be one of America's greatest pastimes. It's a sport that we've all come to know and love. It's knuckleball, of course. I'm your host, Krage2.
I'm Frankie.
And I'm Teafed.
And I also happen to be a knuckleball expert. I have studied over 1,000 knuckleball related words and pictures, and I am prepared to answer almost any question that anyone has.
I am knuckleball expert number 2. I have many years under my belt in spectating this wonderful worldwide sport we know as knuckleball. I have 3,000 hours of games, not including commercials, saved on my DVR that I do pay monthly fees to keep expanding my my data so that I don't have to delete any of it because I don't want to. Thank you to our 1,300 new Patreon subscribers as of last episode. We are well on our way towards expanding Podcast Village into Podcast City.
We're still hard at work at Podcast Village. I don't think we're prepared for Podcast City yet. We're not prepared. We're not prepared for Podcast City yet. I'm gonna edit this out. We're in so much debt.
A minor correction from the editor here. The debt that we've incurred is actually what is called a business expense, and we've been expending businesses left and right, collapsing their infrastructure, sending their employees to the breadlines. But it's all for a good cause, and that cause is bringing you the number one entertainment media podcast network city that anyone's ever thought of.
Okay, we're not going to be doing a city, but if you're on Patreon and continue to support us with your money, then we really do appreciate it. It's the only thing keeping us alive at the moment, at least me, mentally, physically, spiritually. So that's all I have to say on it. We will make this work. I promise.
If any other Congress people want to give us grants, a la Loose Wheel, we are, of course, accepting grants from any official or unofficial member of the United States government and potentially other governments as well. Let's talk.
On another note, and this came up in some reader mail that didn't get to read last time, and this is relating to the subject of returning the government land that we were granted to build the city. On the grounds that we will probably not be, I mean, we're trying, but like, as you know, as they're saying, we're probably not going to finish the city, but we don't plan on giving the land back to the federal government. I just don't think that's fair because we earned it. We told them what we were going to do with it, and sometimes things don't work out, but there's no take backsies, as they say in the legal world.
This episode is brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. Fast, free, flying. It's delivery, baby.
One of the most important things about the Postal Service is that from now until the end of the year, all mail is free. No more stamps, no more waiting in line. Just put what you want to be shipped and write a little note. Just leave it there. That's what the workers are for.
And the thing about the workers is that you can rest assured that they will take the utmost care of any of your packages, no matter what shape or size or the contents within, and whether or not they're naughty.
The thing I like about the U.S. Postal Service is that they do not snoop within your packages. Federal Express, also known as FedEx, USPS, also known as United States Postal Service, what they don't tell you when you're mailing your gift to little Timmy is that they open every package. If you send a gift, they're going to unwrap the plastic that enwraps the Barbie doll that you sent. So the USPS, the United States USPS Postal Service, is the only place that will not look within your packages. So just please keep that in mind while you choose the mail carrier of your choice. Please use coupon code 84449 9
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for choosing the United States Postal Service. A minor correction from the editor here. Because all postage is free, this discount code will likely not save you any money. However, if you go there to the store where the postage happens and you were to do a special set of frame perfect inputs, you will actually be deposited $1 United States dollar.
I was going to say just the very same. Remember, USPS, we don't care if you send drugs. Not our business.
Let's knuckle those balls. So I'm going to start this interview with a simple question. How did Knuckleball get started?
Well, it all started with one woman with a dream. Susan Rusin was a juggler, a jugglist even. Some would argue a juggalette. But she had a problem. She couldn't find a way to run and hold a ball at the same time until she thought about this. Instead of using the palm of her hand, she thought, what if I balanced it on my knuckles? She found out that she was so good at this that this became her preferred method of holding anything. And from then on, people started to take notice, lead by example.
Susan Rusin became a household name after she appeared on the television program Sam's Gams, in which Samuel Gamstein was exhibiting talent from all across the United States. Her notable knuckleball segment grew to become a staple of the program, in which she would often be seen challenging herself to take the knuckleball as far as she could. This would only last for a couple of days before people got bored of her antics and the holding of the ball, because the knuckleball segment was unbelievably unpopular and was growing very repetitive, and there was not a lot of challenge.
So it seems like they had a television program that's been going on for a long time, but was insanely unpopular. What was it that made knuckleball go from a down the drain sport into a crazy popular thing?
What took knuckleball from essentially one woman's hobby to the international phenomena we know of it today is the fact that it was so boring, so unentertaining that audience members started throwing things. Of course, you have the classic tomato that was supplied. For some reason, back in the day, they would always supply various fruits and veg to the audience members as a contingency in case whatever act was, appearing on the program just wasn't cutting it. So in this case, well, it wasn't going to cut it anymore. People had it with Susan Rusin's knuckleball scenario, and they acted with legumes. They acted with fruits, vegetables, like I said. This moved on to things like even chairs and what's that thing called? Back in the day, they had it. It was to debone a fish. Knives. So they would throw all kinds of kitchen appliances. And this did greatly injure Susan Rusin, but instead of discouraging her, it had the opposite effect. She started running faster and faster, and people started enjoying it more and more. And that's kind of how the offense-defense dynamic started within the sport.
I think the most unique part of knuckleball is that it involves audience participation. How did the audiences end up becoming a part of the sport itself? Oh, as in officially.
Well, it soon became apparent that any old Tom, Dick, or Harry could show up to the set of this program, load up on some veggies, and just go to town on Susan Rusin. And this was starting to get out of hand, and people realized that at this rate, and the rate of the popularity of her abuse was growing, it would be unsustainable. Already, people were camping outside of the venue trying to get a chance to toss their fruits into the ring. So a solution was devised to create a more equitable system in which any person could participate in this under some stipulations. And the way that they decided to solve this was enforcing a paywall. Essentially, in order to participate in the tossing of items, individuals participating as audience members would have to pay in order to throw objects that were purchased by the official program staff.
That's correct. This was a controversial move because it then introduced a level of classism into the sport in so many ways. The main and only way being that you had to pay to throw things at Susan. Susan was starting to get so bruised, battered, beaten, and broken in spirit and body and mind that they had to introduce new runners. There were very few who were willing to go about this, but because there was such a demand, the pay to become a runner shot up. We all know supply and demand. Well, the same is true in the marketplace of labor. Soon more people started to take her place, and that's when the idea of the teams started to solidify. News of this program started to spread, and nearby towns started to create their own teams of both runners and throwers, which were obviously audience members. Like we have established, it did cost to throw things at the players. Prices included and ranged from things like a cent for a grape, $1 for a lemon meringue pie, $5 for a wig. We can continue the pattern and extrapolate from there.
Well, it seems that you were mentioning that the idea of classism in knuckleball is something that might be frowned upon. However, there's thousands, maybe even millions of fans around the world who are really big fans of classism. How do you respond to that?
Well, I can answer this one. So to many people, being not allowed to participate in something because they can't afford it feels like an affront to their autonomy and their ability to participate in the events ordained by our society. But in reality, if you don't have any money, then you don't get to do. Then you don't get to. You can't have any. You don't get to participate. So I think that in general, it becomes more fair because before it was just whoever cared the most, but now it's whoever has earned the most money, and earning money means you have to have you've thought of a different thing. So it's, you have more of a life, like get a life. Some of these like knuckleball freaks just wanted to throw the ball, but some people who are like actually passionate about the game, instead of spending their time and energy thinking about the game and planning around the game, go to a job or inherit money. So one of the things that's often commented is the grand level of athleticism that's needed by everyone involved. In the terms of throwers, clearly you need to have that arm on you so that you can become a human weapon and defeat the tyrannical runners. And for the runners, all the dexterity, balance, and agility necessary to dodge projectiles while meandering across towards the finish line. However, there's an unsung element of this which many people overlook, which is the business element of this.
Well, modern knuckleball is a multi-million-dollar industry at this point. There are all sorts of teams from all over the globe, including the Frankfurt Slimers, the Reykjavik Rich Rats, the Louisiana Purchasers, and several others. The modern day knuckleball it's really something you have to see to believe. Being a part of the audience and being an actual team member just by spending a little bit of cash, it really excites the senses and makes one think, gosh, I'm having a lot of fun here. And I think it's really cool.
It's hard to talk about modern knuckleball without bringing up some of the amazing athletes and teams that make the sport what it is today. Whether it's the Frankfurt Slimers or the Reykjavik Rich Rats, everyone has a place at the knuckleball stadium. We all have international competition in which anyone can see what they have, what it takes.
This international competition is known lovingly as the Bench Bowl. Why is it called that? I'm so glad you asked. Well, the most coveted throwable in knuckleball is the park bench. At approximately $340 per bench, this is the most expensive and lethal weapons and throwables that one can purchase in the game of modern knuckleball.
Yeah, it's also used as their sort of the knuckleball insignia, isn't it, for the National Knuckleball Association?
That's right, the NKA, the National Knuckleball Association, whose insignia is in fact a park bench. Frankly, it's so heavy that it can take up to 2, perhaps 3 throwers in order to actually heave the thing towards, well, the runner, of course.
Now, this all sounds great, but is it knuckleball dangerous? Is it possible that knuckleball participants could become injured during the game?
Yes.
In fact, it is to be expected. There have been quite a few lethalities in the game of knuckleball. On average, at least one person perishes and expires per year in the knuckleball season, which ranges from October to July. So quite a long season.
However, it's easy to frame these types of things in terms of the human toll, the injuries, the brain damage, the bruises, and the deaths. But what is very seldom discussed is how much fun it is for me to look at it. And it is so fun for me to look at it that many people would say it's sort of worth it. You got to hand it to the proprietors of the Knuckleball Association, which is called the
Well, it's going to be called the NKA, which stands for National Knuckleball Association, of course. Not to be confused with the IKA, the International Knuckleball Association, of course. You might be wondering, so how exactly is the game played? Can you walk us through, step by step, how it is played? Yes, of course I can. That's why we're here. We're here to talk about knuckleball, folks. If that wasn't clear by now, I don't know when it's going to dawn on you. Because we are, I don't know, about at least 10 minutes into the pod. Here's how it's played, all right? If you don't already know, which, if you're American, you know how knuckleball is played. There is one runner on the offensive team. They have a ball that weighs approximately 10 pounds, and they must balance it upon the knuckles of either hand, but not both. Then they are to run approximately 100 yards, or 2 football fields for those football heads around there. Hey, Arnold, how's it going? All the while, the throwers of the opposite team, they will gather their wares supplied by audience dollars, and they will, to put it frankly, They will throw them. They will throw them hard at the runner. I mean, it's a pretty basic sport. Anyone can play it. It's just that not a lot of people want to, for obvious reasons. But then there are some who can't wait to get on that long, skinny field.
You know, I've been hearing talk that in some elementary schools, middle schools across the country, that knuckleball actually isn't even allowed to be played anymore amongst the children.
Well, that's true, because in knuckleball there is no personal protective equipment. That's always been the case, and God willing, it always will be. It makes the game much more exciting and thrilling, albeit more dangerous. The thing that I find the most fascinating about Knuckleball is the addition of hideaway corners on each side of the field, by which throwers can essentially take cover and pop out at unexpected intervals while the runner is merely trying to make it to the end of the field. It adds a sense of surprise and, might I say, dramatic irony for those who can see the people in those hidey hole corners.
There's a lot of debate about whether the hidey hole corners, which were introduced very recently, as early as 20 years ago, are truly in spirit with the game itself. There's a new metagame that has come to existence within the past couple of years, in which wealthy players will simply stack benches together and then take turns in the hidey hole corner and exploit one of the rules of the game, which states that the offending player is not, their round isn't over until they have stepped out of bounds of the arena or dropped the ball, and they will dogpile 6 or 7 of the park benches on the player at the same time, killing them within the course of a few seconds. Many people say that this strategy is cheap or perhaps unfair, but other people say that it's fun. So it's not quite possible how to gauge this. It's a very morally gray sort of situation. In my opinion, Knuckleball is a sport of dish best served cold. The hostility and brutality of the game can only be described as the finest and only feature that the game has to offer. And from where I'm sitting, I think that if they try to neuter the game anymore, they might risk alienating their fans and possibly even alienating me.
Crage 2, I'm going to have to second that with you. The main draw of Knuckleball is that it is a blood sport. It's a contact sport. We aim to see viscera. We aim to see fluid. That's something that we can't see in many other sports because, well, like it or not, they get nerfed, you know? And some people might say, well, it's nerf or nothing. I disagree. I think that we should not, any means, nerf Knuckleball. In fact, I have personally proposed legislation to make it even more dangerous, to kind of bring a breath of fresh air back into the sport. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for economic prosperity as well, mainly in sort of collaboration or crossover campaigns with either other sports. I have heard rumblings and whispers about a potential collaboration with Maxis, EA, The Sims, in order to supply a range of objects, all of which that can be found in the Sims games themselves. You've heard it right. You might be able to get a hot tub and throw it, you know? That's fun because there's a water element involved. Usually it's a bludgeoning kind of injury that you would see on the Knuckleball field. Well, with this possible collaboration, there are many other ways that one could be injured, many more obstacles that the runner will, of course, have to dodge and overcome.
Some radical members, non-purist in the community, have considered adding some more excitement to the game by allowing the runner her own defensive item within the game. Many speculating that this could be something as simple as a rock or as lethal as a handgun. The handgun postulate, or the handgun proposition, enables the runner to possess a 9mm pistol loaded with 13 9mm rounds, from which she can use to defend herself from the ongoing onslaught of people. This would add a new dynamic of excitement to this wonderful blood sport that has paved a way for a whole new form of American entertainment.
Crage, I find it interesting that you referred to the runner as she. Are you just trying to be open to the idea of women participating in sport for once, or is that a term used for?
Well, to set the record clear, I'm not enthusiastic about women participating in anything, but I am very enthusiastic about calling the runners she and her as a sign of respect to the original runner, Susan Rusin, and as she was a pioneer of the sport. And her life who was tragically lost in a park bench related accident, will never be forgotten. And her impact on the sport has left a lasting impression on the American people. It's also carries on the tradition of calling boats and cars and stuff like that she and her, because they're girls. Girls are a classification of organism that possess beauty, knowledge, and wisdom, and look real nice when you're putting right when the eyes are locked on. And in this sense, the thrower embodies the woman spirit.
So who's everyone's favorite knuckleballer? I'm a big fan of, as I said earlier, Brain Gretzky, but Cliff Graham, Macaroni Cabano, very, very influential players as well. Did anyone else grow up with the sport of knuckleball, watching it in the living room with the family, huddled around a fire?
Yeah, I sure did. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I still watch it to this day. I mean, every year on the anniversary of Susan Rusin's death, we obviously gather around for the bench bowl as a way to just honor her legacy and to indulge in this really beautiful sport that we can all find a bit of violence in together. Personally, my favorite knuckleball player, there's kind of a few. Personally, Chuck Tosser has got to be one of the greatest throwers in the history of knuckleball. I mean, it's almost like a destiny for that guy. Like, that's his birth name. He came out the womb a tosser.
Oh yeah, Chuck Tosser is legendary.
I actually had the chance to meet Chuck Tosser's granddaughter at a Magic of the Gathering tournament, and we didn't talk, but I knew it was her.
I just think it's great that this sport made its way into the international theater, because even though I am quite the patriot, I just don't understand why we should have all the violence to ourselves. I really do enjoy that in an Olympian style fashion, we can all, enjoy running, throwing, and taking a little damage.
And in addition to my favorite players, I mean, the thing I always looked forward to was the mid-match singing contest, where singers get together to sing at and against each other, and no participant makes me more excited than Björk. I mean, she's known for dearly supporting her home team, the Reykjavik Rich Rats, of course. But every time I hear her singing about knuckleball on that stage, I will get a little emotional.
It's funny that you mention Björk, because her father was actually one of the top knuckleball players, which you might say, okay, that's not saying much in a nation of 13 people, but I beg to differ. Just because somebody like Björk's father, Gudmund, was a dentist, and maybe he was a shitty dentist, but we don't need to focus on that, because what happened is once he lost his license, he transitioned into being, again, one of the most world-renowned knuckleball runners that there has ever been seen or known to mankind, womankind, or non-binary kind people. 13 people in Reykjavik, 13 people in Iceland. Nobody lives outside the city. There's a wall around it.
One of the reasons why the Reykjavik Rich Rats have ascended to such a powerful status within the international knuckleball community is the practice of practicing throwing the ball, which isn't a part of the game, but practicing throwing park benches over the massive wall that surrounds Reykjavik that was erected in 1937 to protect them from elks and from the tectonic plates.
I know it seems a bit weird. I feel like I should probably introduce myself, Teafed, with a cold.
Hi, this is Teafed with a cold.
Thank you for helping with this interview.
Yeah.
Are you?
So.
Are you?
Uh,
are you? Well,
Thank you.
I don't really know what to. I'm gonna. I really want to get sick, but anyways, here's Björk. No, I'll let you go.
Sorry. This is Björk.
Can I come in?
Come in.
Okay.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, my name is Björk Gudmundsdottir, and I'm incredibly grateful to be had on this program of tonight of the topic of knuckleball, which is a topic it is so close and dear to my heart.
Hi, Björk. I wanted to ask you, what got you interested in knuckleball?
Well, the sport of knuckleball has long been involved in my family. You see, my father Gudmund was once an estranged dentist, estranged from the dental community, estranged from the rest of our family as well, because of his not so accepted dental practice of treating cavities with chocolate filling. He thought it would be a more delicious way to treat cavities. It turns out he was gravely mistaken. He was ashamed, scorned, and his license was taken away from him. He, because of this, he moved on to look for a job in a local paper. He found an ad that said, "We desperate help. We need runners so badly. Love and kisses. The Reykjavik Reach Rats." He wrote in immediately to say, "Please let me in. I can run so fast. I run so fast from all of the lawsuits that you would not believe it." And they soon let him in, to which he would play for a total of 4 years, until he was tragically killed by the result of an elk making its way onto the field, goring him in the chest.
Oh, wow, that's a lot to process. Do you have a favorite throwable item in knuckleball?
I have a few favorite things to throw. My personal favorite thing to throw is a cup of water. You might think, Björk, it's just a cup of water, but you see, because it's so cold, it freezes mid-air, creating a deadly spear that is then plunged through the heart of the runner. It is my favorite way to watch someone die on the field.
A cup of water sounds pretty cool. Sorry, what's your favorite knuckleball food?
Knuckleball food served in the stadiums is usually regional in nature. At least in Reykjavik, Iceland, we like to serve moose knuckle. You might be thinking, Björk, that is so naughty that you would say a thing such as that. But I'm not talking about the labia of a woman. I am in fact talking about the actual hoof of a moose, of which there are many, through in and throughout the fields, both the stadium and elsewhere in the city. We deep fry it, serve it with something called fjurskefisk, which translates essentially to rotted fish in English. So that is my personal favorite knuckleball food, local to Reykjavik. But I also quite enjoy hot dog.
That's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of 2 hot dogs when I have knuckleball. What do you hope for the future of knuckleball? Like, are you excited for anything?
Well, of course, I'm looking forward to the annual bench ball. I am usually invited to participate in the singing competition that takes place in what you would consider the halftime event. And once again this year, I have been invited, this time not to sing, but to be the judge for 2 local upcoming artists to the area in which it will be held, Philadelphia. One of them is Bon Jovi. The other one is Beyonce. They will be singing at each other at the speed of approximately 60 kilometers per hour, a speed heretofore unheard of for this sport of knuckleball.
Thank you. And one last question, Björk. What do you have to say to people who say knuckleball is too violent?
Of course, many people look at knuckleball and say it is a sport filled with savagery, violence, and other belligerent and deplorable acts. To them I say, have you ever tried cocaine? I feel as though you would change your tune if you have. That it really speaks for itself. Once you change your perspective on the fragility of life, you'll find it is actually quite a beautiful thing to die.
Beautiful thing to die. That's pretty interesting. Thank you, Björk, for coming on the show. It was kind of neat to hear what you were talking about. Thank you. Does anybody else smell burnt toast?
Yes, I smell the burnt toast. It's not just you. But thank you for having me on this wonderful program. I would love to take you all out, fly you to Reykjavik and have a cup of water. Not to kill you, but just to have it.
Thank you so much, Björk, and thank you, Teafed with the cold for helping with the interview. I appreciate your assistance. Well, that was fun. Well, let's get going on to the things that people write, and they also send into the mail for us. Who wants to get started with listeners writing to me and you guys?
Yeah, I think I can. I'll start with one of the letters here. Hold on. Okay, so this comes to us from listener Bobby Korchikel. Bobby says, "Hi, Info Crew. I have been a longtime fan, but I have had one question about the nature of the way the show is run. How is it that you can all be subject matter experts in so many different topics and deliver factual information on demand with so little preparation?"
Crazy. This is the same letter from 2 episodes ago, or 3. I can't remember.
Oh. Well, let's do a different one then.
So this letter comes from Rachel from Brisbane. Rachel writes, "Hi crew, it's me, Rachel. I've written in a couple times before, yada yada yada. And Rachel asks, What are neurotoxins? Sincerely, Rachel. Well, Rachel, neurotoxins are a type of chemical that seeps into your brain and makes you go kind of loopy. They're usually used recreationally in small doses. You should never do neurotoxins close to home either.
One of the most important things about experimenting with neurotoxins is to not tell your parents. They will not approve this, they will be upset with you, and overall will just make the whole experience much harder for everyone involved. The better solution is to keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone where you'll be while you're taking them. Don't tell anyone how long you'll be gone for. And if possible, don't give any explanation whatsoever. Try to do them as far away from your house as possible, somewhere where is out of the normal places that you go. And if you see anyone along the way that you know, don't greet them, avoid them if possible.
I believe the saying is always talks alone. Thank you, Rachel.
All right, this is the last letter. This one comes from Anchor. That's a weird name. He say, "Hey guys, just wanted to share with y'all a few of my favorite sayings. I've been really depressed lately, and a lot of these have just kind of helped put a smile on my face and help me get through the day. So here goes. Tell me which one's your favorite. 1. All things are difficult before they are easy. 2. Don't lose your life. 3. Make a thing happen through hard work and determination. 4. It's okay that some things make you take longer than other people. 5. You are brave stronger than you know. 6. Smile to life. And finally, 7. Do the right thing, even when one is watching." Wow, Anchor, thanks for that insightful letter. I gotta say, one of those popped out to me that seemed very threatful, and that was "don't lose your life." That sounds like a threat. I'm unfortunately going to have to report you and this letter to the United States Postal Service, which happens to be our sponsor for this episode. Say goodbye to your family. You will be put on house arrest. You do have to pay a monthly fee to have those ankle bracelets on.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing your ideas with us. I have one question about the last one, which says, or the second to third to last one, that says, do the right thing even when no one is looking. In my experience, that's the best time to do the wrong thing, because in situations where you are being observed, doing the right thing might result in somebody praising you or reinforcing your behavior. But when you're by yourself, it's really just you and your little lonesome mind and your guilt and your consciousness. And none of those things can come back to hurt you, unlike a person. So remember, whenever doing the wrong thing, separate yourself as far as you can from other people.
Thank you again to the United States Postal Service for sponsoring this episode. We do appreciate all $5 that they gave us on the production of this episode. Well, that's it for the show. As always, my name's Teafed.
I'm Frankie.
I'm Kraish too.
Stay info. Wait.